Why is she even still alive? The laugh that followed wasn't loud, just sharp enough to split something deep in me. I didn't leave. I walked through that backyard like I hadn't heard a thing, and that night, I pulled out the folder labeled house. Your son could face charges for financial exploitation of an elder. Forgery, fraud, it's serious. I didn't flinch, it should be. You changed everything, Daniel said through the door. Yes, because you forgot I'm not just your mother, I'm a person, and people don't deserve to be erased. They asked why I was still alive. Now I can answer, to remember my name, to set my own table, to leave the door open just wide enough for those who knock with clean hands.
Margaret Doyle, thank you for coming and sharing your story. I'm sure the audience will take a lesson from this. Ready to begin?
Sure.
Into my son's backyard holding a warm dish of lasagna, still steaming through the foil. The gate creaked behind me, and before my foot even touched the grass, I heard it. Why is she even still alive? Not whispered, not shouted, just thrown into the air like trash, and then the laugh short, sharp, like glass breaking. My hands didn't tremble, not yet. I tightened my grip on the dish and walked forward. I didn't leave, I went. The backyard was glowing with string lights and noise. My son Daniel stood at the grill, laughing with neighbors. His wife Lauren poured wine into glasses like she owned the world. My grandchildren Ethan with his cap turned backward, Lily chasing after the dog, ran in circles. No one stopped. No one saw me, or maybe they did, and that was worse. Mom, Daniel said finally, voice too casual. You didn't tell us you were coming. I brought lasagna, I said, my voice steady, my heart loud. Lauren's lips stretched into a smile, the kind that hides a knife. Oh, how thoughtful. She didn't take the dish for me. I carried it myself to the far edge of the buffet table. I sat in the folding chair that leaned when I put weight on it. Music pounded. People toasted. To family, Daniel said, raising his beer. Glasses clinked, eyes sparkled, and not one of them turned to me. Once upon a time, Daniel's favorite words were, "Thanks, Mom." Now they were, "We didn't know you were coming." My name is Margaret Doyle, 72 years old, retired nurse, widow. I raised Daniel with my bare hands and breaking back. When his father died on a factory floor at 50, I kept the house together with double shifts. My feet bled in those hospital clogs. My eyes burned under fluorescent lights. I skipped meals so Daniel could eat seconds. I pawned my wedding ring to pay his tuition. I stitched wounds on strangers by day and washed his uniforms by night. When Daniel wanted to buy a house, he didn't have enough for the down payment. I opened my retirement account. $40,000 gone in one stroke of a pen. For your start, I told him. Because you're my son. He cried then. He kissed my hands. I'll never forget this, Mom, he said, but memory fades fastest in those who never carry the weight. Later, when bills mounted, I paid off 2 of his car installments, $800 each. Just this once, he said. When his children's school fees doubled, I wrote the checks. You're the best, Mom, he said. When Lauren wanted a new fridge, I bought it on my credit card. We'll pay you back, she said. They never did. I gave them years, money, health, and silence. Silence when Lauren called me old-fashioned. Silence when Daniel sighed each time I offered advice. Silence when they placed me at the corner of the table at birthdays. I thought love was enough. I thought sacrifice speaks for itself. That backyard proved me wrong. The next morning, I sat at my kitchen table with 1 cup of coffee. No one beside me. Daniel's chair at that table had been empty for years, though the wood still remembers his elbows. I washed the untouched lasagna dish and put it back in the cupboard. Then I pulled out a file from the drawer. Labeled in my handwriting, Daniel's house. Inside, the deed, the down payment slip, the letter I wrote, no repayment expected. Because you're my son. I pressed my finger hard against that line until the ink blurred. Then I saw something I didn't recognize. A power of attorney. My name, my social security number, Daniel listed as authorized on my bank account. The signature looked like mine, but thinner. Crooked, not my hand. A coldness spread through me. Years in nursing taught me to recognize when something isn't right. This was wrong. That afternoon, I called Carol, my neighbor. She came with oatmeal cookies. Honey, she said, squeezing my hand, you're not alone. Then I called the bank. I want to see the manager, today. Finally, I called the legal aid clinic. "Bring your papers on Wednesday," the woman said. "We'll have a lawyer for you, don't wait." At 3 p.m., I wore my pressed blouse and black shoes. When you're about to fight for your life, you don't show up in slippers. The bank manager, Mr. Clark, tried to smile me quiet. He sat in his glass cubicle with screens glowing. I slid the forged power of attorney across the desk. "I didn't sign this," I said. He hesitated, typed, "Mrs. Doyle, the system shows you verified this last year, biometric." "I haven't set foot in this branch for 2 years," I said. "I use the ATM, I use my own feet." He looked uncomfortable. There were monthly transfers, $1,600 to a leasing company, a car payment maybe. "Whose car?" He didn't answer. He printed my bank statements, page after page, my pension deposits, my withdrawals, my name, and 5 circles of $1,600 each, 8,000 gone. I stared at those pages until they blurred. "This stops now. Revoke the power of attorney, remove every third-party access. New card, new PIN, and file this as senior financial abuse." He raised both palms. "We'll need a notarized revocation and a police report." "I'll bring both tomorrow. But note it now, no money leaves this account without me here in person." He typed slowly. People always type slowly when they realize you won't back down. That night, I locked my bedroom door, not from fear, from finality. A woman who has given too much deserves one lock that only she holds. The next day, I changed my phone number, gave it only to Carol and the legal clinic. The rest of the world could chase shadows. On Wednesday, I stood outside the clinic before it opened, a line of women behind me, each holding folders like shields. The lawyer, Ms. Evelyn Hart, wore a plain navy dress. "Tell me everything," she said. I did: the backyard, the lasagna dish, the words that cut, the forged power of attorney, the stolen money, the years of giving. She studied the paper. "The signature is forged. The witnesses are repeat names in fraud cases. This is a pattern, but we can undo it. We'll draft a revocation, file a police complaint, notify the bank, and we'll protect what's yours, your will, your pension, your accounts. You're not powerless." Her voice didn't shake, and for the first time in a long time, mine didn't either. That evening, I opened an old notebook. I made 3 columns. Given $40,000 down payment, $1,600 X2 car payments, school fees, appliances, time, health. Taken $8,000 stolen, respect denied, presence erased. Kept my name, my voice, my future. I closed the book, my hands shook, not from weakness, from awakening. I didn't sleep that night, not the way people call sleep. I closed my eyes, but my chest kept replaying the backyard, the laughter, the forged papers. Sleep is peace. That night was calculation. In the morning, I put on my gray coat, the one with the big buttons, and went to the police station. The officer at the desk looked up like I was a file he didn't want to open. I slid my papers across. "This signature is not mine," I said. "This is theft." He flipped through, bored. "It's family business, ma'am. Maybe settle at home." I cut him off. "I've spent 35 years settling. I fed him. I clothed him. I gave him $40,000 to buy his home. This is no family quarrel. This is fraud, and I will not leave until you write my complaint." The officer sighed. He pulled a form, started writing. My voice sharpened every time his pen slowed. In the end, he stamped it, a sound like a verdict. When I walked out with the stamped copy in my hand, I felt taller than my bones usually allow. At the bank, Mr. Clark stood up the moment he saw me, the complaint on his desk already. He tried small talk. I didn't let him. "Cancel every access. Reissue every card. Note in your system that this account belongs to Margaret Doyle only. No son, no daughter, no neighbor touches it again." He nodded quickly, his tone different now, respectful. He printed new forms. I signed them slow, deliberate. Each stroke was a line cutting my son out of the space he had stolen. Back home, I sat at the table and took out my will. I had written it years ago when Daniel was still a boy who called me his best friend. It named him executor. It left him everything. I crossed out his name with a pen so black it bled through the paper. Then I called the legal clinic again. "I want a new will," I told Evelyn. "Daniel gets nothing, not the house, not the accounts, nothing." "Then who?" she asked. I looked at the brochure sitting on my table, a women's shelter 2 blocks away. They do, I said, every dollar. Lauren called me that evening. Her voice was sweet the way poison is sweet when it hides in cake. Margaret, you've upset Daniel. He's so hurt. You know he didn't mean it. I heard him laugh, I said. He was nervous. It was a joke. A joke has a punchline. That was cruelty. You're being dramatic. No, Lauren, I said, my tone like steel. For years I was quiet. I folded napkins at your parties. I babysat your children. I handed over checks you didn't ask for. Silence isn't drama. It's burial. I'm done being buried. She hung up. The next day, I did something small but dangerous. I cleaned out the drawer labeled for the grandchildren. Stickers, notebooks, candy I kept stocked for Ethan and Lily. I packed it all in a bag and left it at the curb with the recycling. The bag sat there for hours, untouched, just like me. That evening, my phone buzzed. A new message from Daniel. Mom, we need to talk. Don't do anything stupid. You'll regret it. I stared at it, then I deleted it. Regret is for people who look backward. I was looking forward. Friday morning, I walked into Evelyn's office with a folder heavier than some babies I've delivered in maternity wards. Receipts, transfers, bills, letters. I want it all written down, I said. A new will, a living trust, Daniel out of every line. The house to be sold, proceeds to the shelter. My accounts, beneficiary to the scholarship fund. Medical power of attorney to no one in my family. She typed as I spoke, her fingers fast. I signed every page like I was stitching my own wounds closed. Do you feel lighter? She asked. No, I said, I feel strong. That weekend, Daniel came to my house. He knocked. He called. Mom, please, just let me explain. I sat on the couch, hands folded. I didn't move. He knocked again, harder. Mom, this is insane. We're family. Family, the word that had become their weapon. Through the door, I said quietly, family doesn't forge signatures. Family doesn't laugh about wishing me dead. Family doesn't bleed me dry. Whatever you are now, it is not family. I let the silence answer after that. Finally, his footsteps faded. His car drove off. On Sunday, my granddaughter, Lily, knocked instead. Her hoodie sleeves covered half her hands. She looked smaller than I remembered. Grandma, she said, I'm sorry. Her voice cracked. At the party, I laughed because everyone else did, but I hated it. I hate how Mom talks about you. I hate how Dad ignores you. I don't want to be like them. I opened the door wide. Come in, I said. She sat at the table, chewing her lip, her hands shaking around the cup of tea I gave her. They say you're turning against us, that you're ruining everything. But I know it's not true. You gave them everything. I saw it. She hesitated. I just don't want you to cut me out too. I touched her hand. Lily, the only ones I'm cutting out are those who dug at me until I bled. If you want to stand apart from them, my door is open. But not for gifts, for truth. She nodded, her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. Doyle women don't cry where people can see. That night, I sat alone, the house quieter than it had ever been. But I wasn't lonely. There's a difference. Loneliness is wanting someone. Quiet is when you finally want yourself. On the table in front of me lay the binder Evelyn gave me. My trust, my will, my protection. The law written in black ink on white paper, this time on my side. Daniel had taken money, respect, time, but I had taken back something heavier, control. And the fight wasn't over. The next step would not just protect me. It would make sure they understood what it feels like to be powerless. And I had every intention of teaching that lesson. Mrs. Doyle, a man's voice said, this is Detective Reynolds from the fraud unit. We've received your complaint regarding the power of attorney. We'd like you to come in tomorrow to provide a statement. I thanked him, my voice calm, but my hand shook when I put the phone down. Not from fear, from anticipation. At the station, Detective Reynolds asked me to read aloud the statement I'd already signed. I did, slowly, clearly. He listened, nodding, his pen scratching notes. Then he leaned back. Your son could face charges for financial exploitation of an elder. Forgery, fraud, it's serious. I didn't flinch. It should be. Do you want him prosecuted? He asked. Yes, I said. Not because I hate him, but because some lessons can't be taught with cookies and forgiveness. By Thursday, the investigation had begun. Daniel's signature requests at the bank were frozen. His shiny new car, the one bleeding my account each month, was repossessed within days. I didn't have to watch. Carol saw it from her window. They towed it right off his driveway, she told me, half horrified, half satisfied. I brewed tea and smiled into the cup. Not triumph, balance. Lauren called that night, voice like fire covered in honey. You embarrassed us, do you understand? The neighbors saw the car get taken. Daniel could lose his job. The kids are humiliated. The kids are humiliated because they watched their parents steal from their grandmother, I said. If you wanted pride, you should have lived honestly. You'll regret this, she spat. No, I said. I regretted silence. I regretted bending until I broke. This is repair. She hung up before I could say more. The following week, Evelyn finalized my trust. My accounts were locked. My will was airtight. The house was listed on the market. For the first time in decades, I felt untouchable. But I wasn't finished. I wrote a letter to Daniel and Lauren. Not a plea, not an explanation, a notice. You have taken my kindness for weakness. You have used my name, my savings, and my silence. That time is over. I am pressing charges. I am selling the house. None of what I own will pass to you. My life is mine again. Consider this the last gift you will ever receive from me, the truth. I mailed it, not because they needed to know, because I needed it recorded. When the house sold, I didn't even attend the closing. Evelyn handled everything. A retired couple bought it, the kind who wanted peace and history. They paid in full. The check arrived in my account 3 days later. I took half and donated it to the Greenway Women's Shelter. Walked in myself, handed them the check. The director's eyes welled up. This will keep our doors open another year, she whispered. The other half I placed into a scholarship fund for nursing students. Because, I told the bank clerk, the world needs more women who know how to stitch wounds, not open them. That night, I slept with the window open, the cool air washing over me like absolution. Daniel tried one last time. He came to my new apartment uninvited. His knock wasn't angry, it was tired. Mom, please, he said through the door. You can't do this, you're ruining us. I didn't answer. Do you know what people are saying? That I stole from my own mother. That I laughed when someone wished you dead. Do you understand what this does to my reputation? Yes, I said finally, my voice steady through the door. It ruins it, exactly as it should. There was silence, then a single word from him, soft, broken. Why? I leaned against the door. Because you forgot I'm not just your mother, I'm a person, and people don't deserve to be erased. His footsteps retreated. I never opened the door. It was Lily who became my bridge. She visited every week, sometimes with cookies, sometimes just with her homework spread across my small kitchen table. She asked questions, real ones. Grandma, do you ever wish you forgave them? I thought carefully. Forgiveness without change is just permission. I don't wish to give them more permission. But don't you miss Dad? I looked at her, this girl with Daniel's eyes but not his blindness. I miss the boy he used to be. I don't miss the man he became. She nodded. She understood more than her age should allow. Months passed. The case against Daniel moved forward. There were hearings, papers, lawyers. He fought, of course, said I was confused, said I was manipulated. But documents don't lie, and neither do signatures that aren't yours. The judge ordered restitution. He would have to pay back what he stole. His record would carry the stain. When the decision came, I didn't cheer. I just sat at my table and whispered, balance restored. The night after, Lily brought me a sketch she'd made. It was of a chessboard. On one side, a queen alone. On the other, a full set of pieces. But the queen was winning. She's you, Lily said shyly. I framed it and put it above my desk. On my 73rd birthday, I woke to quiet. No phone calls from Daniel. No forced smiles from Lauren. Just sunlight through curtains and the smell of coffee in my own pot. At noon, Lily arrived with tulips. She handed me a card she'd painted herself. On the front, 2 chairs on a porch, one empty, one with a teacup on the armrest. Inside, it read, "Thanks for keeping a seat for me." I held her hand. "Lily, you remind me why I'm still alive." She smiled, to teach the rest of us how not to forget. That night, I wrote my final entry in the notebook. They asked why I was still alive. Now I can answer. to remember my name, to set my own table, to leave the door open just wide enough for those who knock with clean hands. I closed the book. For once, I didn't feel like a mother erased. I felt like a woman who had written her own ending. And it was enough.